Hello YouTube, and welcome back to Are You a Train Man 2's channel. This is my first build video back from my 6 month or so hiatus. I can't remember how long it was. But yeah, Rock Island N scale. You probably can't see this very well, but go ahead and pick some stuff up. I picked some stuff up over the last 6 months, including some nice rock units. This is a Atlas Classic Rock Island U25B. I have two of those that are identical. They have the same road number. So this one I think is the nicer one. This one I'll keep 205. And the other one I will renumber 214. I am modeling the Rock Island in 1979, so all of the engines and freight cars are going to be pretty nasty and dirty and just not very clean. As you can see here, I have some Rock Island decals set out. This is a caboose 58 to 1980 decal sheet. Some of the decals that are on here, they actually give you quite a bit. There's enough to do 5 cabooses with one set, so that's pretty nice. But for one of the sets with the staggered lettering, I'm going to re-letter this this little Atlas caboose here. It's a standard cupola. I don't think the Rock ever had any standard cupolas in the steel side, but you know, for me it's close enough. All I'm going to do with this is paint the ends yellow. I'll take some thinner and take the logos off of here. I know, blasphemy for the Great Northern fans. Sorry about that. And I'll paint the roof, I believe black was the color on the Rock cabooses. And this will be the same red color. Probably a little darker than Rock red. But after I fade it and weather it, you won't even really notice. And to go along with that, I also bought an older Atlas GP9. I checked it. It does not. I don't believe it has the pizza cutter wheels, flanges on the back. So I do have some Code 55 track that I tried it on, and so far so good. If it doesn't end up working, I'll probably take the shell off and put it on a different engine later on, who knows. Excuse me. But this I think is a little darker than Rock Red. Actually, I'm pretty sure this one's too dark for Rock Red. But you know, like I said, once I fade it and weather it, you really won't know the difference. There's what the wheels look like on there. They don't look too big of flanges. I have some older Bachmann N-scale engines, and you can definitely tell they're pizza cutters. But I'll have to take off the nose stripes on the pilot area, I think that's what it's called. And the Vermont Railway logo will have to come off. And then the stripes on the back. I'll paint yellow on the front and back and put big Rock logos on it. I'm going to tear this engine apart, redo it, which means the air cylinder is going to come off the top. I believe that's for passenger use. The windows are going to come out. I'm going to put sunshades on, firecracker antenna, horse Paducah air filter, and MU hoses, and I'm just going to detail the heck out of this little guy because I really like it. GP9 is one of my favorite engines. Actually, GP9 and the SD9 are my two favorite engines. So that's going to be a fun one to play with. And then last out of here, I have a Norfolk and Western Atlas Classic U-boat. I'm going to strip the paint off this, well, just the logos I guess, and repaint it a dark brown and use the nose stripes on it with the what I call uppercase lettering down there somewhere. I can't see. But that's going to be for that. This set is for another GP7, well, similar to the GP9, but a GP7. When I get it later, I don't have one yet. And I bought this because it was pretty cheap. It's an older microscale decal sheet, but there's a lot on there, so I got a good deal on it, so I bought it. But to put these aside first, I'm going to take out the Better U-boat, the one I call Better because it looks like it has less use on it. And that's the engine I want to mess around with for right now. So these are a little tough to get out of there, not super hard, but I'll go ahead and take this guy out of there. And put that aside. Whoop, almost dropped it. So for end scale, as far as end scale goes, it's not too bad on detail. The MU hoses are molded on the front, if you can, I can get the camera to zoom in that far. Yeah, I think I can deal with this. The first thing I want to do is I want to leave the shell on for now because this build video is going to take place with the wheels needing to be on here. So I'm going to go get everything prepped and cut in the video here. And when we come back, I'll have all the stuff here available, and a piece of test track is what is going to be needed to make sure that the snowplow doesn't scrape on the railheads when it's being test fit. So we'll be right back. Okay, so here we are back. You can see the engine is sitting on a piece of track, and that there are two pieces of track here. I went and bought a whole bunch of track and didn't realize that I had bought Microengineering Code 70 along with the Microengineering Code 55. If I can get that in there. Was that upside down for you? Of course it was. So I didn't realize I had both types of track because I had like 8 or 9 bundles of track, and I've had them since last summer, so I didn't really mess with them all winter, but anyway, that doesn't matter. So I've got everything that I want to start the snowplow build. I know a lot of you are thinking, it's only like $1.75 for an HO scale snowplow. Why go through all the trouble of trying to scratch build one? Well, the HO scale snowplows, I know I've bought a few from Details West, and they're like, what, $1.75 each. And say you have a layout with 50 engines. A few of them say don't need a snowplow, so cut it down to 47. You have 47 engines and 47 snowplows. That's like 82.25 or something like that. Well, we'll round it down to $82. $82 for snowplows. And that's just the snowplows. That's not including anything else. None of the other detail parts, none of the paints or weathering powders, or that's, I mean, if you have a big layout or you're modeling on a budget, say, you're not gonna really want to spend all that kind of money on just snowplows. So as you can see, I have a little piece of thin styrene here. It's just a little scrap that I have laying around. Now this is one way to build the snowplow, and if you're thinking, plastic styrene snowplow, that won't work, I'll put a picture up on right now for you to see. The red unit has a plastic snowplow on it. So as you can see, it doesn't look too bad. But then you can also build a metal snowplow out of a thin piece of metal. Now I don't know the dimensions of this or the styrene. You can pretty much guess. You don't have to use super thick styrene. This is like paper thin. It was an off-brand. It wasn't even evergreen. So you know, I just have this little patch. I'm not going to measure. I'm not going to go prototype because I'm not a rivet counter. I just know that I want a snowplow on the front of this engine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the styrene and I'm going to match it up till it just barely shows on either side of the engine. Okay, and that's where I know that I want to cut. First thing I'm going to do is cut it straight across here and get rid of this top piece here. I just take a pair of scissors, cut it straight across, and I can take a pen. This is the one thing I didn't grab. Let's see, hang on a second. Okay, I have a colored pencil. What I'll do is I'll take the styrene, put it on the nose of the loco, or on the front where the pilot is, and I'm gonna make a little mark. I want it to barely stick over the edge on this side, just barely, so it's not completely away from the pilot. You see how far that is? Okay, now I'm going to make a mark on the other side of the pilot. Where I need to cut. Okay, you can't see the mark. I can because it's very small. I'll just mark it real quick. Use my X-Acto knife for this cut. Cut it right off. Now the snowplow is definitely not going to stay this tall. This is way too tall. But it's good enough to put on there and line it up. So I'm liking what I see. Now what I want to do is I want to cut out the coupler hole. So I'm going to guesstimate on how much coupler travel I'm going to have. And you know, when I say estimate, I mean really estimate. I'm not measuring this at all. Mainly because you know, I just go by eye, and I gauge how far by eye that I think I'll need coupler travel with. And this isn't going to turn out perfect, you know that, because I'm not measuring. But what I do after a long time of modeling is just pretty much eye it, and I can be able to tell you know, the width of something that I want. Okay, I'm going to pull off the little piece there. Have a little burr on it. I think I'll clean that off real quick. And this probably won't entice a lot of people to build their own snowplows, because you know, who wants to waste their time with this when they could be doing something else? Okay, now if you want to see a prototype picture of a snowplow, I can't put the picture on my on my YouTube channel for copyright purposes, but what I want to do is I want to angle this off. You can you can get onto things like Flickr and even Facebook, even YouTube itself, and freeze the frame, and you can actually see. Okay, there's the outline now. You can actually see the funny shapes of snowplows that different railroads had. And the Rock Island had some funky shapes. Got a little notch cut out on the side, which I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done here in a second. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus. Camera to focus. Come on, camera. I know you can do it. I'll put my hand behind it. That'll work. You can see the little notches I cut out. You're not going to see them real great, probably on the video, but they will show up pretty good in person. Okay, so I got the snowplow on there. It's right up to the edge of the coupler. I don't want it to actually touch the coupler. I just want it to, you know, just be just under the coupler. Okay, and I'm going to hold it there, and then take my pencil and mark on the bottom where I want to cut it. This pencil is probably not the best thing to use. I have a whole box full of Sharpie pens and I cannot find them, but I have extras. I usually use yellow because it doesn't show up very well and doesn't bleed through paint. But I just put a couple of marks on the bottom of the plow where I want to cut it across at. I'll eyeball it and make the marks straight when I go to cut. And how it, well, actually I won't eyeball this one. I'll actually use a measuring device. A ruler in here on the side. I want to measure off at the top because we're not even keeping the bottom. Well, we're not in frame here. Keep moving the ruler around until I get it where I think the plow looks straight across and everything looks good. I take my X-Acto, make sure to push down hard on the ruler so the plow doesn't slide like that. But I got my scribe line, so we can go over it a couple times. Take it off. Now I'm going to want to redo the angle piece on the bottom here. Okay, I like the way that looks. There's the snowplow now. Put my hand behind it. Okay, now what you're probably thinking is the snowplow's flat. Snowplows are not flat. How do you get it to curve? Well, it's kind of hard with the plastic because plastic will bend and break, and then it'll bend right back to original shape. But we're working with end skill here, so it's not too bad. But I'm not going to bend this yet. The first thing I'm going to do, well, starting now, is cut out the little square holes for the MU hoses. It's simple, it's easy to do. You just take a sharp X-Acto knife, number 11, and you simply cut a rectangle hole in the fat side piece over there, right here. Be careful not to get too close to the edges. What I do is just push down hard. I don't actually run the blade first, I just push down hard. do both sides real quick. Can you even see what I'm doing? Yeah, you can see. Almost. Let's go straight across first. Just push it down. Then do the sides. I don't do the bottom. And the reason for that is because I actually want these to stay connected. So all I did was lightly punch in the rectangle shapes in there. I don't know if you can see that, but just punched them in with the X-Acto. I didn't cut all the way through yet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tweezers and just poke them through. Got that one. I think I got that one. Gotta try to grab them now and flip them down. You see I got a hold of this one. I'm just gonna flip it downward. Gonna use my finger the rest of the way and pull it down. Now you can see that it's an MU door open. I'm going to do the same with the other side. Make sure that it's poked through all the way. Bend the little flap down, pinch it up against the actual unit. And then I'll show it to you. I got the little flap doors open. Some snow plows have like a bend in the middle. I take the straight part of my tweezers, put it right in the middle of it, and then I just simply fold it over to create the crease. Now I got the crease. Now I'm going to bend the entire thing in the middle. And how I do that is bending it over a paintbrush handle. So I bend that over, being careful not to break it. Bend it over on the other side. Careful not to break it. Give it a little flex with my fingers, not too hard. I have big hands, so I gotta be real careful. This is really thin material. And there is your bent, curved, homemade snowplow. It's up to you if you want to put brackets on the back. It's not too hard for that. I'll take a piece of the scrap that I have left over. Let's see if we can zoom in on this. Zoom in right there. Got the snow plow on the top of the screen. Now I got this little piece. Let's put it in the gray so you can see it. Okay, now this bracket has to be the same height as the fat part out on the plow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it down because it didn't have a straight edge on that side. Doesn't have a straight edge on this side. I'll just snip it off real quick. You see it's still not straight, but it's okay. What I'm going to do is cut down the middle. And I have two little pieces there. They're not perfectly shaped, but that's okay because it's going to work. Trust me. Now, let's test fit this on here first. Let's see how far away we are. Oh, we gotta go way back here. Alright, let's get it straight. that's about straight. That's looking pretty good. Wow, I have dirty fingernails from working on cars and trucks. Yes, I'm a mechanic in my spare time. Yeah, that's... I need to clean my fingernails. That's bugging me now. Alright, so plow looks pretty good. I could put these brackets on the back of it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that, but I think the videos run pretty long. I think I'll actually just glue it on and put some MU hoses in it. What I use for MUs are, well, it's zoomed in, so I'll get this back out a little bit. I use this wire. It's 24 yards worth of wire, and the gauge is 28 gauge. And you can buy this type of wire made in Taiwan. You can buy this anywhere. This particular roll of wire I bought at a craft store called Michael's. I know you can buy them at Hobby Lobby. You can buy them just about anywhere, even jewelry making stores and bead stores. This is the 28 gauge is what I use for MUs for N scale, and that's fairly easy and fairly straightforward to do. What I like to do is pre-drill a hole with my pin vise, and then use a pair of these clamp tweezers. You have to pinch them together. You pinch them together, and it clamps the little MU hose, and then you can stick it in the hole and glue it. Put the glue on the metal first, put it through the pilot hole on the snowplow, and stick it in through the hole that you drilled with your little pin vise. I don't remember the size of the pin vise drill bit that I use. I have a little set here that I bought at Ace Hardware, and what I do is I use well, it looks like I have the 75 thousandths drill bit out of there. It's not in this little tray here, I don't think, because it's probably in my pin vise, wherever it is. This is actually my first time back out at the shop in like well, no, I came out here twice. But my pin vise is sitting right here with a nerd. It is a tiny, tiny drill bit. I think 80 thousandths would probably be the best. You can use this and you know, drill the holes in front of the pilot. Be careful not to go too far or go too deep in there. But yeah, the next time you see this engine, it'll have the snowplow on it. It'll be painted with the Rock Island maroon color. Is that upside down for you guys? No, it's not. The Rock Island maroon from True Color Paint. Got this off of eBay. All you gotta do is type in Rock Island paint if you're looking for Rock Island. Okay, there's a lawnmower, so I'm gonna have to cut it off. The next time you see it, it'll have that on there. It'll be detailed, it'll be weathered, and you will see it in a picture right now.